Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lost in the Episode. This is your host, Shawn, and
I'm Devin.
this is our brand new segment where we will be covering recently released shows. First off, we will begin talking about the first couple of episodes of each season where we will give you our first impressions. Then tune in every week where we will recap and review each episode. Lastly, we will get to the season finale where we will give you our final thoughts. We are going to be talking about episodes 1 through 3 of The Watch.
The series The Watch takes place in a steampunk fantasy city named Ankh-Morpork, where crime is legal under their respective guilds under certain conditions and quotas. The thieves, assassins, and alchemists are some guilds to name a few. Therefore, The Watch, the city's police force, is rendered meaningless. The captain, Sam Vines, and his misfits make up this useless police force. A dark figure from Vimes' past has returned unexpectedly, which calls the Watch to spring back into action. Shawn, if one wanted to watch The Watch, what would the watcher watch The Watch on?
That is a good question, Devin. Anyone can watch The Watch on BBC America. If they have AMC Plus, they can also stream it on that platform, or they can rent or buy each episode on Amazon Prime. First and foremost, I wanted to talk about the controversy behind The Watch. It is inspired by Terry Pratchett's Discworld series, which has over 40 books. His daughter actually went to one of the Comic Cons that this was premiering at and basically said that this show shares no DNA with her father's work. And I know a lot of fans are not pleased with this series, but I beg of you, if you are a fan of the original Discworld series, to just kind of go into this show fresh. Once again, it is inspired by characters in the Discworld series. So if you have no preconceived notions of this show, just go in with an open mind. So, Devin, what did you think of The Watch?
I loved it. I mean, I am loving it. I've just got to say, like, I love it. I'm very analytical even when I'm watching anything, and I can 9 times out of 10 kind of know what is coming next. But this series, I really like, I don't know, the episodes personify chaos, which is just something I love. I feel like a passenger on a roller coaster with a blindfold on, and I love that feeling. I never
Yeah.
know what's going to happen next.
Definitely. Yeah, I love what you said about feeling like you're on a roller coaster because this show has so much energy to it. I really felt like I was thrown immediately into this world, and it's bonkers, and the humor is very crass and deranged. And I was all for it at the beginning. Like, I really fell for it. And I think it is going to take some time for people to really, like, fall in love with this series, but after watching the first 3 episodes, I am all in on this show. Like, I can't wait for more.
I feel the exact same way. Just a small side note, and I think this was only really done a lot in the first episode was their like interesting use of contrast because it had very like especially in the first couple of scenes there was very heavy use of shadows that accentuated like neon lights dispersed throughout the city. And I thought that was this seems like a hodgepodge of different genres, but steampunk and fantasy are the mainstays. But I definitely felt like, at least in the first episode, there was this kind of film noir kind of sense.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, absolutely. And I think they've done such a good job creating this world. I don't know what the budget is on it, but it looks extremely polished. And you feel transported into this world, like you said, with the neon lights and just the way that the city is kind of falling apart and it's very industrial. And I just felt like I was in a different world. And honestly, it's kind of nice to be thrown into a new fantasy world, especially right now.
I can't imagine that the budget on the show is very big, but having said that, I think there is very efficient uses of practical and computer effects, and I think they're really doing a good job, especially with Death. I thought
Oh,
Death looked really cool.
yeah, I mean, I was extremely impressed all the way through by the all of the production values. I'd like to get into the characters. First and foremost, we have Vimes, who's a complete drunk, and I think that is one of the main things why I think people might not love the show at first because he is kind of hard to fall in love with because he is all over the place. But I really am starting to like his character as these episodes have gone on, and you can kind of see that, he might kind of come to the challenge in what the show's going to bring him.
See, I felt very opposite of that. I actually felt him very easy. He was like, he's just kind of a mess, but
Mm.
he has that, like, you see throughout the exposition of his past is done when he's talking to Death. It's showing him his past. I like how I didn't know whether he was going to be a hero or an anti-hero in the beginning of episode 1, but throughout the episode it shows that through his past and kind of his gathering of all these misfit characters, he actually does have very strong core values,
Mm.
albeit they are somewhat worn down over a long period of time in this city where the cops are not really, they don't have a use.
Yeah. Definitely, that's a really good point, Devin. I like the idea of, even though he is, this total drunk and a mess, he does have these core values that makes him a character that you can relate to. You brought up the misfits that are part of the watch. I think definitely the standouts, at least for me, was Cheery, played by Joe Eaton Kent, who is the forensics expert, also a non-binary character from what I've gathered so far. I think Cheery, sorry, I thought it was Jerry at first, but it's Cheery. I think that's a really fun, interesting character that they'll be able to play a lot with. And then also Angua, who is our little spitfire of a character who ends up being a werewolf. I think those are my two favorites so far. What about you?
Yeah, Angwa's one. I think that she's doing a really good job portraying her character, but honestly, she is so beautiful. She's got this really exotic beauty,
Hmm.
um, and I just find her interesting, and I'm in love with her whenever I see her on screen. And I really like Captain Vimes too. I love how much he has nailed being kind of an alcoholic. Um, Not so much like the negative sides of him being an alcoholic, but the like the uncontrolled like grunts and sputters and stuff. Like he does a really good job of making that seem believable. And yeah,
Absolutely.
I like the character. I think it's an interesting character. Uh,
Yeah, I'm excited to see how he grows within the series. It's definitely one of the reasons why I'm going to keep going with it.
well, already he's starting to grow because I think in the second episode, I think it's the second episode, he's talking to uh, Vinatari. He's like, "Oh yeah, we raided a building." And she was like, rated? He's like, yeah, it means to like do some police work, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, huh, that fits you. And and it's like a total departure from the first episode where she's totally just emasculating him.
Yeah,
So I do already see the growth of the respect of the watch in this series.
definitely.
I don't want to speak about Death because he just he's a lot in the first episode and he appears in the third episode, but he always is so unexpected, and it's a good way to transition the scenes because he'll like say something like Vimes will be like, "Do I have to watch this?" He's like, "Yeah, shut up, you have to watch this." Or he shows up in the third episode, he's like, "Are you gonna kill this person or not?" Like he seems like I'm just so happy that he's a part of it, but he also seems really personal and just like that weary government employee that you always hear of or that you know personally. In the third episode, he says he's like, I just want to know if you're going to kill this person because I don't want to have to go across town and collect a soul and then have to turn around and come all the way back here.
It's so good. Definitely the humor is so funny. I laughed out loud, especially in the third episode throughout the whole entire thing. It's a very different, dry sense of humor, but I love it. It's really weird, but I'm all in for the humor.
I also want to mention the soundtrack just briefly. There's been
Hmm.
like 3 or 4 times I had to like pop up in my Shazam just to see what it is. But in the second episode, when "Where Is My Mind" by the Pixies is playing, um, I'm like, yeah, like if you put "Where Is My Mind" in your soundtrack, I'm probably gonna like the soundtrack. Just I don't know what it is. It's people who like that song and like put it in good spots in movies like have an eye for or an ear, I guess, for soundtracks.
Mhm. Definitely. I love the soundtrack and I also love the score in general, this kind of electro punk score that's blaring throughout the show. It really lends itself well to the landscape of it. So, we're going to try something a little bit different with our Lost in the Episode segment with our rating scale. We're going to have four different tiers. We'll let you know our final thoughts on our first impressions by letting you know if it is a must watch, which is self explanatory, a wait to binge, which is basically like we're giving you the go ahead, you absolutely should watch it, but maybe wait until you can binge the whole season. Then we have our wait for our final thoughts, where we're kind of iffy on the show and we'll let you know once we get to the final episode of the season. And then our last tier is skip altogether, and that means just don't even try. So, Devin, what are your thoughts?
I was honestly in love with this series within the first 5 minutes, and I knew it was something that I wanted to keep watching. So I'm giving it the best grade that we have right now, which is must watch. Watch. I'm gonna be on Sundays. I'm gonna be waiting with bated breath. What about you?
So I will be giving this a must watch as well. I was immediately transported into this extremely unique world. I think the characters are vibrant and interesting and all very different than anything that I've really seen before. And also, the conflict and the mystery is going to keep me excited to see each episode and see how it progresses. So this is definitely a must watch for me. I really hope people give this show a chance because it's awesome. It reminds me a lot of Doctor Who or The Magicians on Sci-Fi. It is just a very unique world that is very fun to visit. Thank you so much for watching Lost in the Episode. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you liked it. And also comment down below. Let us know what your thoughts on the watch are. We would love to start a conversation about this series and get more and more people talking about the watch. Tune in next Monday for our episode 4 recap and review. Until then, we will see you next time.